Hi, this is Rob Nicely with Carmel Building and Design, and today we're here to talk about heat recovery ventilation systems, or HRVs. This is a heat recovery ventilation system. This is the HRV box, and what an HRV is it's a mechanical ventilation system. And it used to be the case in residential construction that we didn't use any kind of mechanical ventilation. And the reason is because houses were leaky enough by themselves that plenty of air was coming in the house. I'm sure that you all felt a draft under a door or air coming through your window when the window was closed. So those are some obvious examples. Air is also leaking in and out around switch plates, through holes next to pipes, all over the place. So air is always moving into houses, at least the way they have been built in the past. Now we're trying to build houses that do less of that, and the reason is because a leaky house like that is wasting a lot of energy. It happens that in the residential environment, heating and cooling air is the single biggest use of energy that you're going to have in the house, and the single biggest loss of that energy and money is through holes in the building envelope. So this is an HRV right here. This is made by a manufacturer called Zender. It's 85% efficient, and what that means is if the air in the house is 70 degrees and it's heading out, and the outside air is 40 degrees and it's coming in, those two airstreams would pass by each other in here, and the heat would transfer into the incoming airstream to at 85%. That means that by the time the air got into the house, it'd be 65 degrees, so most of the way up to the temperature you want it. So this is, now I have the HRV unit open so we can actually see a little bit of what's going on in here. On this side, this is the incoming air and the exhaust air going to outside. So these are both of the air lines that are going to the outside. On this side, this is the supply air, that's the ventilation air into the house, and the return air that's coming back and getting the heat scrubbed out of it. So this part right in the middle here is the air exchanger itself, and this is where you can see that there's these silver pipes coming down. They actually go into pipes that are pressed against the sides of the box and then go into the heat exchanger. So the heat exchange is happening in here, and you can see that this air is filtered. Here's a filter right here, and here's a filter right there. So this air, you can choose whatever kind of filter you want for this, depending on how effective you want it to be. You could use a HEPA filter in here, so all the air that you can be breathing in the house is filtered up to the level that you want it to be filtered. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what happens to the air after it leaves the HRV. The air that is heading into the house to be the ventilation air goes from a big pipe like this into a manifold, and the purpose of that is to take the airflow and break it into a bunch of smaller pipes that can deliver air to all the rooms that we want to be delivering ventilation air to. And typically those rooms are the dining room, living room, bedrooms, most of the rooms in the house. Some of the rooms in the house, however, have a register that has return air, which means that it's the air that we're collecting back up to send back out of the house. And those rooms are typically the rooms we call the wet rooms: bathroom, kitchen, laundry. And the reason that we put the returns in those rooms is because while they're collecting up the stale air, they're also picking up any excess moisture in the house, and we want to get that excess moisture out of the house because it could possibly create mold and mildew in the house. So another important benefit of using a ventilation system like this is that we know where the air is coming from, and we know that it's being filtered, so we can be sure that the air that you're getting in your house is very high quality air to breathe. So another important benefit of an HRV or a ventilation system is the improvement in indoor air quality. So by contrast, a house that's very leaky, where the house, we spoke earlier about how the air is just coming from wherever it's coming from, because of something called the stack effect, that air is normally coming from down low. And what I mean by that is hot air rises. So in any given room, the air that's up high in a room is under a little more pressure than the air at the bottom. Consequently, in a leaky house, the air up top is trying to get out, so it's leaking out. That's being replaced by other air, which is typically coming in down low, where it's under lower pressure, and so being sucked in. So a practical implication of that is in a lot of houses, the air that you're mainly breathing is air that came out from underneath the bottom of your walls or from your crawl space. So that's air that could typically be dirty or dusty, have mold spores in it, have the residue of pest spray in it. So not really the air that you most want to breathe.